What is faith? Part 3. Let's continue our discussion about this. The gentleman who made this comment is bringing up Romans 10, which we'll discuss in a second. But he says that it goes against what I said in the first 2 parts of this series, What is Faith? I encourage you to go back and watch them if you haven't. Bottom line, I go over scriptural proof that faith is not something that we conjure up on our own. Faith is far more than a mere belief. While it does include belief, it is not belief alone. God gives us faith. We don't give it to ourselves. And we gain faith by acts of obedience, by following the Torah of God, the Word of Christ. Romans 10:17. So faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the Word of Christ. But most people miss verse 16. What does it say directly above this? For they have not obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah says, Lord, who has believed what he has heard from us? Verse 16 means 2 things. 1, the gospel is something that needs to be obeyed. It's not something you just believe. And number 2, Paul says that Isaiah knew the gospel and was preaching it. If you go back through and read Isaiah, you'll see that the only thing he ever taught was the Torah. And if you compare Christ's teachings to the Torah, you'll see that the only thing that Christ taught was the Torah. In John 7, Christ said this, my teaching is not mine, but his who sent me. And in John 5, Christ said this, for if you believed Moses, the Torah, you would believe me, for he wrote of me. But if you do not believe his writings, how will you believe my words? Christ is directly equating his teachings to the Torah. And it's fitting because he is the Word of God. He is the Torah of God made flesh. That is what he came here to teach. 2 John verse 6, and this is love, that we walk according to his commandments. This is the commandment just as you have heard from the beginning, so that you should walk in it. 1 John 3:10, by this it is evident who are the children of God and who are the children of the devil. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is the one who does not love his brother. We must ask ourselves, what is righteousness in the Bible? It is only ever once given a definition. Deuteronomy 6:25, and it will be righteousness for us if we are careful to do all this commandment before the Lord our God as he has commanded us. Faith does come from hearing, and hearing comes from the Word of God, the Torah. But did you really hear it if you don't acknowledge it and put it into action? As our Messiah said in Matthew 15, the people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me.